Okay, we're starting with The Nation. Letter, Obasanjo is jealous, frustrated, says presidency. 1/3 of the world may slip into recession this year, says IMF. Tinubu insists petrol subsidy must go. Funeral rites begin for Pele. 4 killed in gunman attack on Ohakim's convoy. Nigeria raises concern over rising COVID-19 cases in China. And police confirm transfer of men from the Ajah division. Okay, which story are we talking?
Okay. Let's start with the major headline. So, the letter that former President Olusegun Obasanjo wrote has been gathering a lot of reactions, and some of people reacting to it is the presidency. From the presidency, they said that according to that the attack on the President Muhammadu Buhari and the endorsement of the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi was born out of jealousy and frustration. He said the former president is frustrated and that it's born out of jealousy. The governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, also described the endorsement of Peter Obi as an indictment and a stain on the People's Democratic Party's candidate, because it feels like Ajah Atiku Abubakar should have been the one to get the endorsement. The chieftain of the APC, Dr. Segun Abraham, said that he doesn't see former President Obasanjo's endorsement as consequential, like it's not a big deal, he's not bothered. Many people are reacting. From the presidential campaign office of the APC, Mr. Dele Alake was described the cheated former President Obasanjo for what he described as false claim of mentorship. He also did not like, he said he does not support the conversation. Everybody is just reacting to
which he had endorsed, where he endorsed Peter Obi of the Labour Party.
Yes. So, and in that letter, he endorsed the Peter Obi and also critiqued the administration of Buhari.
Okay, let's take another story. Yes, go ahead.
The COVID story. So NCDC is saying that despite the surge in cases in China, that's COVID-19 cases in China, that they do not expect any rise in cases here in Nigeria. They also say that that some of the numbers we're seeing, that's because also this is like winter period, so a lot of respiratory illnesses that come around this period would affect the numbers. But they're also saying we're not dismissive of the possibility that we may have dangerous Omicron babies. I did not understand that. So I was wondering if it was a mistake, Omicron, but the fact that we currently have at hand do not suggest that we should expect any rise in cases or any rise in severe illnesses at the moment. And we are aware that, the federal government has relaxed a lot of the COVID restrictions, even at the airports now, the pre- and post-COVID tests have also been relaxed.
So okay, IMF. Go ahead. Okay, so the managing director of the IMF, of the International Monetary Fund, Christina Georgieva, is warning the world that she said a third of the global economy will face a recession this year. She's also saying that she has noted that economic activities in the US, the EU, and China are crawling simultaneously, and this, of course, will affect. She said that 1/3 of the EU, half of the EU countries will be in recession this year. She blames it on COVID-19 rapidly spreading in China, which is also affecting economic activities there. She's also projected in the past that due to the Ukraine-Russia war, things will grow slowly. This projection agrees with that of Goldman Sachs on the multinational investment bank projections of economic growth to slow down by 1.8% in 2023. Right. All of them are just giving us things that are supposed to be worrisome, but I hope that these projections will help governments across the world sit up and maybe do some things that will spark.
All right, so Tinubu was in Saudi Arabia for Lesser Hajj, where he was speaking to Freedom Radio, with Kaduna Freedom Radio, and he was saying that subsidy indeed must go. The subsidy is anti-poor, and that it's just a waste of resources. According to him, one of the things he's going to do when he comes back is to remove subsidy, because according to him, the oil sector has been caged by subsidy and it must be unbundled. He says that he also mentioned that they will ensure that all the wastages and rechannel the money. They'll stop the wastages and rechannel the money to people that truly need this money. So this is something that I've said over and over again, but it's the courage to do it that Nigerians are expecting, because many administrators haven't been able to have the courage to remove it because of its effect on the poor.
A very short story on tax. The tax, FIRS has already created a new policy that takes effect from today that would allow individuals to get their tax clearance certificate from the Tax Pro Max platform. I think this is an amazing news. They said it's part of ease of doing business. It cuts out the middlemen, anybody trying to help you to get your tax clearance certificates out. This way, if you meet all the requirements right on the platform, you can print out your, you can get your tax clearance certificates.
All lose jobs, though.
No, they won't lose. Bribes will be cut off. Those that have been living their entire lives on exploiting the systems will be cut off, and I think it is a good one.
Moving on now to the Punch. Anti-Buhari letter of presidency Lambaso Basanjo says ex-president government corrupt. External reserves fell by $3.4 billion in 2022, says report. Power generation crashes by 990 megawatts. Gencos lose 1.8 trillion naira. Mobile subscriptions rise by 23 million, now 218 million. National Assembly budgets 850 million naira for failed constitution amendment, actually. Ajah DPO transferred as police redeploy cops, commend Punch. G5 governors adamant set for Wike campaign. Adeleke fumes as Oyetola insists tribunal will sack governor. Okay, which story?
Let me take the Lagos State Commissioner of Police has said that the transfer of all policemen attached to the Ajah Police Division in Ajah, and also the DPO at that station has also been changed, and they said all the shanties around the station have also been dismantled, and this will be done across all the other divisions within the state. And this is coming, after the very sad and unfortunate event, the killing of the lawyer by the police officer, and then also which led to the Punch doing like a covert investigation of that particular police station. Yesterday we didn't really get to talk about the news, but in the investigation, the investigation that they did, this reporter just went there and spent about an hour, and then he saw police officers just drinking alcohol. Some of them were so drunk. He said one even approached him, and he even thought that the policeman approached him to ask him why he was standing there. And instead, the man asked him for 200 naira. And he didn't have 200 naira. I gave him 1,000 naira. He went straight to the lady selling alcohol. Had even more alcohol. I had a gun on him, and that so many of them, there's some noticed them, and you could see that they were trying to hide, but they all ended up, a lot of them ended up just buying alcohol.
I think the PRO also, Hundeyi actually said that specific Ajah, they're having serious issues with that, so they plan to actually revamp the entire...
And it took somebody,
because
two people
police,
died.
yes, the police and the crime in that area, they've almost been somewhat intertwined, so there's been a lot of change.
A strong cause is intoxication.
Yes.
The sale of intoxication is allowed there. They do what, even in the military, they have a mess. In the evenings, they sit and allow a lot of rubbish happen in the evenings. Some have hangover in the mornings. Do it around all police stations. I'm saying it boldly here. You see how they relax in the evenings. And so that discipline is not there. And a proper overhaul on how they support themselves.
We have to go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. Another story? Anybody?
Power generation. The Punch did a report, and this report shows that in 2022, power generation dropped from 6,336 megawatts to 5,346 megawatts. Also, the annual capacity payments to payment loss to power generation companies increased to 1.8 trillion, as the data showed that there was a decrease in average utilized power. So power distributed and the one the discos would send out dropped, and so of course the payment increased for loss difference. And this explains the poor power we've been having since before September in my area. Terrible power loss. So power is distributed, but they have they said they have this shortfall. They're sharing something, a breaker between about 3 or 4 communities, so they can only distribute a number of hours less of power. So maybe we get to see 6 or 3 hours of power a day, and then they distribute like that, like that. So some of these issues are facility-based and amenities issues. I hope that the discos would also invest in all of these things that they need to distribute proper power. But the report carries an overall of all megawatts and how it's been dropping from 2013 that, they handed over, the privatized, and we've always been hovering between 4,000 megawatts to 7,700 megawatts since 2013. We've not been able to get beyond that. And even when it is finally generated, distribution is still a core issue. I wish the discos would invest in, proper amenities for distribution.
Please don't take the story on the National Assembly and 850 million naira, which has been budgeted for constitutional amendment. And the way the Punch put it is failed constitutional amendment. And the reason I was first like, this headline is a bit wrong. Why would you say failed constitutional amendment? But it's because there's been a consistent failure of the constitutional amendments going through. All through this 10th Assembly, every year on year, about R1 billion is allocated towards constitutional amendments, and barely 11 states have actually signed it into law. So some activists are saying that this is it has become a ritual that lawmakers are using to embezzle funds without yielding results. And it wasn't originally in the proposed budget for 2023, but the National Assembly added 1.3 trillion and included that 850 million for another 1 year of trying to pass a constitutional amendment. And according to what we're seeing, they're saying between now and June 23rd, which is the end of this 10th Assembly, it is not possible for them to pass this constitutional amendment. So it shouldn't have even been in the budget in the first place, because if another administration comes into power, or by the time it's 11th Assembly, they would have to start the entire process afresh. And I think that we shouldn't be wasting money on something that we feel for the past successive years hasn't worked.
Yeah. Okay, so I was going to take the G5 update because the governor of Akwa Ibom State tried to have that one last meeting again with the G5 to see if he can convince them to sheath their swords concerning this matter of the PDP. But they're insisting that they're adamant, saying that unless there's a change in IU being the chairman, they're not going to waver on their decision. They are all planning to attend Governor Makinde's inauguration for his campaign on Thursday, and Governor of Akwa Ibom State was trying to see what he can do to stop, to at least get them to come down on their position, but they're insisting that they wouldn't do that. Moving on now to Daily Sun. Underage voters, parents risk arrest. Gunmen attack ex-governor Ohakim's convoy, kill 4 security aides. Fresh survey puts Obi ahead of Atiku and Tinubu. Wike turns Atiku, accuses ex-VP of frustrating zoning in PDP. No respite for motorists, consumers as fuel scarcity persists. Transport fare keeps rising. Cholera kills 8 in Ebonyi. Police in gun battle with hoodlums rescue 3 kidnapped victims in Delta. And Obi's endorsement, presidency accuses Obasanjo of always attacking Buhari out of frustration. And then Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs sets standards for elections. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Okay, let me start with the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. So, the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs issued a communique after the meeting yesterday, where they set new standards. They said for the elections, they said the electorate must vote only candidates that will lead to justice, fairness, and righteousness, and also ask the federal government to ensure that the elections are free, fair, peaceful, credible, polls, and they should evolve a standard process that would ensure that elections of only eligible and suitable candidates go subsequently. They made, just as I said, the communique was signed by the Secretary General, Professor Isaac Oluyede, and the Director of Administration, Zubairu Haruna Usman Ugu. He said Nigerians should freely choose the best candidates and vote those who will lead with justice, fairness, and righteousness in line with our usual prayer. Oh Allah, make the best of our leaders and don't make the best of us our leaders, and don't make the worst of us our leaders. Don't make us, on account of our sins, be under those who will neither fear nor be compassionate to us, and that the federal government should ensure the elections are free and fair as well. I'm into that prayer, a very important prayer.
Okay.
Cholera outbreak in Ebonyi State, Akoha community of Afikpo North local government area. Said about 8 people have died from this, and no fewer than 10 persons are hospitalized in different medical facilities. The local government council chairman said stopped everything he was doing and went to the community to see about the issue. And he says that their state government is, doing everything that they can, to respond to this. I mean, this cholera story is something we took for the most of 2022. And I know that the NCDC and the government, try to give us different tips on how to sort of contain it, to stop the spread. But obviously this is, in the report, it's even been described as a pandemic. So we have to really tighten our belt, medically on how to resolve this. They said children were even included in the dead. It's sad.
Let me take INEC. So Festus Okoye, he's the National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education, and he's continually reiterating INEC's preparedness for the election, saying that every underage voter will be arrested, including their parents. According to them, they're doing everything to flush out all the underage voters, and they've also spoken and summoned all the officers within the regions where underage voting is very rampant, and they've told them, and they said they would appear before a special panel of the commission, and they will that underage voting this time around will not be allowed. And secondly, he has said that they would ensure they print out, I think sometime mid-January, they'll print out all the list of the registered voters. So you can verify that indeed my name is there. So they have about 93.6 million registered voters right now, and they're going to print out the names so that all can see. So that by the time the elections come, every Nigerian knows for sure that these are the people who are going to the polls, and we can have a credible voting electorate for that period. Okay, let's move on now.
No, I have a story.
Yes.
Okay. Fuel scarcity has been consistent despite the festive season. Many Nigerians are lamenting. Daily Sun covered the story that there's no hope. He said early hopes of the current crisis within the fuel scarcity reducing is not happening. There are allegations that people that should be at the helms of affairs resolving our fuel crisis situation in Nigeria are busy trying to get voters and they are focusing on election as opposed to resolving this key issue. That's according to what I read in papers. Interviews of people mentioned that some people said that they've not had light for weeks because we've had power. It's in the papers that the grid collapsed, power went down, and some people didn't have power for weeks. They didn't have light all through Christmas and New Year, and they had to queue up. Some did the crossover at filling stations because they just couldn't go home without petrol. National Operation Controller of IPMAN, that's the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Micah did a telephone interview to explain why there is still fuel crisis across the country, and the conversation is the same we've been hearing since. It's not like there's anything new. So for me, it's seemingly supporting what the motorists and frustrated Nigerians are saying, that the people that should resolve this issue are focusing on elections as opposed to creating comfort for Nigerians.
Right. Okay, let's see. Vanguard, I think we've taken all the story in Vanguard. Let's move on quickly. There's no story that we have. Underage person is taking that story. Let's move on now to Nigerian Tribune. Obasanjo frustrated, talked jealous of Buhari. I think we took that story already. Terrorists killed 470, sacked dozens from farms in Katsina in the last 3 years, says maize farmers. 3 arrested over alleged attempt to kill policeman in Ogun. Ohakim's convoy attacked, 4 policemen killed. Labeling CBN governor terrorism sponsor, shameful, says Southern Middle Belt leaders. And those buying PVCs are wasting their time, says INEC. Any story?
Yes, Katsina State, the chairman of the Maize Association of Nigeria was talking about the Anchors Borrowers program and how real farmers have benefited from, from this program. But he says that they still recorded low yield in 2022, and it's because they're faced with a series of problems such as insecurity, drought, and insect infestation. He said over 470 farmers have been killed in the last 3 years. Many of them have abandoned their farms because of these terrorists and relocated to cities in order to seek refuge. He says apart from the insecurity, there's been drought and insect infestation. This insecurity is a killer in many ways. Do you understand? I know that it's directly killing human beings, but in so many other ways, it cripples an economy, denies people of their livelihood. It is something that we look forward to, our elections, that we put as front burner for anyone that finally becomes the head of
Okay, so
president.
let me quickly just take the 3 arrested over alleged attempts to kill a police officer. So the police, state police public PRO in Ogun State has said that they arrested 3 persons who tried to kill a police officer, Akinpelu Sunday, while he was carrying out his duty. So this police officer attached to the traffic section of Owode Egba received a report of an accident that happened at Orile Imo in Ogun State. And on his way to rescue victims, 3 other people attacked a police van with axe, beating him up, injured him along with the driver that drove him, and tried to pour petrol. They poured petrol on the van, but they didn't set it on fire before he went back and got reinforcement, and they were able to be arrested. Some people escaped. The commissioner of police has asked that those people who escaped be arrested. And I hope that they are arraigned and face the consequences of it.
Yeah. That's all we can take on Front Page Review. I heard that the former governor of Imo State almost got killed. 4 of his police were attacked, and I'm really sorry to hear that. He didn't even know, was attacked unawares, and but the commissioner of police wasn't reached, according to reports in Tribune, to confirm the story. But a really heart goes out to the families of those who lost their husbands and their family in doing this. They're so rest in peace. Let's go on a break now. When we come back, move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.